I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling well, walked through my front door at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and I heard sounds coming from upstairs, from my bedroom. Laughter, music, sounds that made my stomach drop. I walked up those stairs knowing what I would find, but praying I was wrong. I opened my bedroom door, and there they were. My husband, David, in bed with my daughter, Rachel. In my bed. In my house. They didn't even stop when they saw me. Rachel just looked at me and said, "Mom, you need to leave. David and I are together now. This is our house. Pack your things and go." I stood there in shock while my daughter smiled at me from my own bed. What Rachel didn't know was that the house was in my name only, and what David didn't know was that I had a very good lawyer. When I was done with both of them, they had nothing. My name is Nanny. I'm 71 years old now, and this is the story of how my daughter stole my husband, how they destroyed my life and thought they'd won, and how 5 years later, karma came for both of them in the most perfect way possible. I married David Chen when I was 53 years old. It was my second marriage. My first husband, Thomas, had died of a heart attack when I was 43, leaving me a widow at a young age. I spent 10 years alone after Thomas died, 10 years focusing on raising my daughter Rachel, working as a teacher, trying to survive the grief. I wasn't looking for love, didn't think I deserved it, didn't think I'd find it again. Then I met David at a community event. He was 50 years old, never married, a civil engineer. Quiet, kind, thoughtful. We started talking and discovered we had a lot in common. Books, hiking, old movies. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Took it slow. Both of us had been hurt before. Him by failed relationships, me by loss. We wanted to be sure. Rachel was 30 years old when David and I got married. She'd just gone through a bitter divorce from her first husband, a man named Kyle, who cheated on her repeatedly. Rachel was devastated, broke, and angry at the world. "I'm happy for you, Mom. At least one of us gets a happy ending." There was something bitter in her voice, but I brushed it off. She was hurt from her divorce. She'd come around. The wedding was small but beautiful, just close friends and family. Rachel was my maid of honor. She gave a toast that made everyone cry. "My mom deserves this happiness," she said, raising her glass. "After losing my dad, after years of being alone, she finally found someone who appreciates her. David, you better take care of her. She's special." David squeezed my hand under the table. "I will. I promise." The first few years of marriage were wonderful. David and I bought a house together. Well, technically I bought it with money from Thomas's life insurance and my savings. But David moved in and we made it our home. We traveled, went on weekend trips, had quiet dinners, built a comfortable life together. David got along well with Rachel. He tried to be supportive without overstepping. He'd help her with car repairs, give her advice about job interviews, listen when she needed to vent about her ex-husband. "You're good with her," I told him one evening when Rachel had come over for dinner complaining about her dating life. "She's been through a lot. Divorce is hard, especially when there's betrayal involved. I just want her to know she has people who care." I loved him for that, for being kind to my daughter, for trying to be a positive male figure in her life after her father died and her husband betrayed her. 3 years into our marriage, Rachel lost her job. Budget cuts at the marketing firm where she worked. She was devastated. "Mom, I don't know what to do," she cried over the phone. "I can't afford my rent. I have credit card debt. I'm going to lose my apartment. Come stay with us, I offered immediately, just until you get back on your feet. Are you sure? I don't want to impose. You're my daughter. You're not imposing. David and I have the extra bedroom. Stay as long as you need. David agreed when I talked to him about it. Of course she can stay. Family helps family. Rachel moved in 2 weeks later. She said it would just be temporary, a month or two until she found a new job and saved up for her own place. That was the biggest mistake of my life. At first, everything seemed fine. Rachel was respectful, helpful around the house, actively job hunting. She'd make dinner sometimes, do the grocery shopping, keep her space clean. David and I continued our normal routine. We both worked during the day, came home, had dinner together, watched TV, went to bed. Rachel would join us for dinner, but mostly kept to herself in the guest room. But after about a month, I started noticing changes. Small things at first. Rachel started dressing differently. More makeup, nicer clothes, even though she didn't have a job yet. Doing her hair every day, even though she was supposedly just sitting home applying for jobs online. You look nice, I commented one morning when she came downstairs in a dress and full makeup. Thanks. I have a video interview today. Oh, that's great. For what company? Um, it's a startup. I'll tell you more if I get to the next round. But there was something evasive in her answer, something that didn't quite ring true. I also noticed she was spending more time in the common areas of the house, the living room, the kitchen, places where David would be. Hey, David, can you help me with my resume? She'd ask. David, do you know anything about Excel formulas? David, can you look at my car? It's making a weird noise. Always David, always finding reasons to talk to him, be near him, need his help. I told myself I was being paranoid. She was just trying to be friendly, trying to bond with her stepfather. It was natural. Then I noticed them laughing together, inside jokes, conversations that stopped when I entered the room. One evening, I came home from a teacher's meeting and found them watching a movie together in the living room. They were sitting close on the couch, not touching, but close, closer than necessary. Hey, Mom, Rachel said brightly. We're watching that thriller David's been wanting to see. Want to join us? No, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Don't you have job applications to work on, Rachel? I finished them earlier, just taking a break. I went upstairs with a knot in my stomach. Something felt wrong. But what could I say? They were watching a movie. It was innocent. Except it didn't feel innocent. Over the next few weeks, the situation escalated. I'd come home to find them cooking dinner together, laughing in the kitchen. I'd wake up early and find them having coffee on the back deck, deep in conversation. You two are getting close, I commented to David one night in bed. What? Oh, Rachel? She's just lonely, I think. Going through a hard time. I'm trying to be supportive. You're insinuating something is wrong. No, I don't know. Something feels off. Nothing's off. You're reading into things. Rachel and I are friends. That's it. She needed a father figure after losing her dad young. I'm trying to fill that role. Father figure. That's what he said. But father figures don't look at their stepdaughters the way I'd caught David looking at Rachel when he thought I wasn't watching. 3 months after Rachel moved in, she still didn't have a job. Every interview didn't work out. Every opportunity fell through. She was running out of unemployment benefits and had no income. Rachel, honey, are you really trying to find work? I asked her one evening. Of course I am. It's just a tough job market, Mom. These things take time. It's been 3 months. Are you trying to kick me out? No, I'm just concerned. You need income. You need to be working toward independence. I'll find something soon, I promise. But she didn't even seem to be trying. She spent her days at home, in the house with David while I was at work, and I started wondering what they did all day, what they talked about, if my paranoia was justified, or if I was going crazy. I started coming home at unexpected times, during my lunch break, between classes, making excuses about forgotten papers or needing to use the bathroom. Each time, I'd find them together, sitting close, talking quietly. Once, I walked in and they jumped apart like they'd been caught doing something wrong. "Mom, you scared me. What are you doing home?" "I live here. I don't need a reason to come home to my own house." "Of course not. I just meant you're usually at work now." David looked uncomfortable. "I should get back to work. I'm working from home today. Conference calls." He left quickly. Too quickly. Like he was escaping. I confronted Rachel that night. "What's going on between you and David?" "What? Nothing. Mom, are you serious right now? You're always together, always finding excuses to be near him. You dress up when I'm at work. What am I supposed to think? You're supposed to think that I'm living in this house and David happens to also live here. We're friendly. That's it. God, Mom, you're acting crazy." "Don't call me crazy." "Then don't accuse me of crazy things. David is your husband, my stepfather. The idea that something inappropriate is happening is disgusting." She stormed off to her room and slammed the door. When I talked to David about it, he had the same reaction. "Nanny, you need to stop this. Rachel is your daughter. I'm your husband. Nothing inappropriate is happening. You're creating problems where there aren't any." "Then why do you two act so guilty when I come home unexpectedly?" "We don't act guilty. We act surprised because you're usually at work. You're misinterpreting normal behavior because you're insecure." Insecure. That word stung. Was I insecure? Was I imagining things? My friend Gloria didn't think so. "Trust your gut," she told me over coffee. "Women's intuition exists for a reason. If something feels wrong, it probably is." But I have no proof, just a feeling. Then get proof, or confront them directly. But don't gaslight yourself into thinking you're crazy when you know what you're seeing. I decided to get proof. I set up a small camera in the living room, hidden in a bookshelf. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I'd feel foolish when the footage showed nothing, but I needed to know. For 3 days, I checked the camera footage every night, and for 3 days, it showed exactly what David said. Them watching TV, talking, nothing inappropriate. I started to relax. Maybe I really was being paranoid. Maybe grief and insecurity were making me see things that weren't there. Then on the 4th day, I came home early because I wasn't feeling well. I had a terrible headache and nausea. The school nurse sent me home at lunch. I pulled into my driveway at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. David's car was there. He was working from home again. Rachel's car was there too, obviously, since she still hadn't found a job. I walked up to my front door, keys in hand, already planning to take some medicine and lie down. Then I heard it. Music playing upstairs and laughter, female laughter, coming from my bedroom. My stomach dropped. I stood in my entryway frozen, listening to sounds that made my blood run cold. I wanted to be wrong, wanted there to be some other explanation, but I knew. Deep in my bones, I knew what I would find upstairs. I walked up those stairs slowly,
each step feeling like climbing a mountain, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The bedroom door was half open. I could see inside. And there they were, David and Rachel, in my bed, the bed I shared with my husband. They were tangled in my sheets. Rachel's clothes on my floor, David's shirt hanging off my bedside lamp. They didn't even hear me at first, too caught up in each other, too comfortable in their betrayal. I must have made a sound, a gasp or a cry, but suddenly they both looked toward the door, saw me standing there. I expected shame, panic, apologies, something. Instead, Rachel smiled, actually smiled, like she'd been waiting for this moment. She didn't even try to cover herself, just sat up in my bed in my sheets and looked at me with this expression of triumph. "Mom, you need to leave. David and I are together now. This is our house. Pack your things and go." I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't process what I was hearing. David at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. He scrambled for his pants. "Nanny, we didn't." "Shut up, David," Rachel cut him off. "She knows what this is. No point lying now." She turned back to me. "We've been together for 2 months, Mom. We're in love. He doesn't want you anymore. He wants me. I'm younger, prettier, more fun. You're 68 years old and boring. You go to bed at 9 and read books. David needs someone exciting, someone who actually wants him." Each word was a knife. My daughter, my own daughter, in bed with my husband, destroying my life without a shred of remorse. "How could you?" I finally managed to whisper. "Rachel, he's your stepfather. He's my husband. How could you do this?" "Oh, please. You married him when I was 30. He's not my father. He's just some man you're married to. And he's not happy with you. He told me. All the time. He told me how you're cold and distant, how you never want to do anything fun, how he made a mistake marrying someone so old and set in their ways." I looked at David. He couldn't meet my eyes. "David," my voice broke. "Is that true? Is that what you told her?" We were just talking. I was venting. I didn't mean." "He meant every word," Rachel interrupted again. "And I was here for him. I listened. I supported him. I gave him what you couldn't. And we fell in love. Real love. Not whatever sad, companionable thing you two have." "You're my daughter," I said, tears streaming down my face now. "I let you into my home, into my family. I was trying to help you. And I'm grateful, really. But, Mom, you need to face facts. David doesn't love you. He loves me. And we want to build a life together. You're in the way."
"This is my house." Rachel waved her hand dismissively. "Fine, we'll buy you out. David has savings. We'll give you money for your half and you can find a condo or something, somewhere age appropriate." "This house isn't half David's," I said quietly. Anger starting to cut through the shock and pain. "This house is mine, completely mine. I bought it with money from my first husband's life insurance. David's name isn't on the deed, just mine." Rachel's confident smile faltered slightly. "What?" "This house is mine. The car you've been driving is mine. The furniture you're sitting on is mine. Everything in this house is mine." I turned to David. "Pack your things, both of you. Get out of my house." "Now wait a minute," David finally found his voice. "We're married, Nanny. Even if the house is in your name, I have rights. You can't just kick me out." "Watch me. You have 2 hours to get your things and leave. If you're not gone by then,
I'm calling the police. Mom, be reasonable. Rachel stood up, wrapping my sheet around herself. My sheet that I would have to burn now. Where are we supposed to go? I don't care. A hotel? Hell, anywhere but my house. You wanted to be together? Congratulations. Figure it out. I turned and walked out of that room, down the stairs, out to my car. I couldn't stay in that house another second. Couldn't breathe the same air as them. I drove to Gloria's house, knocked on her door, crying so hard I could barely speak. She took one look at me and pulled me inside. What happened? I told her everything. She held me while I sobbed, while I broke apart completely, while the shock wore off and the full weight of the betrayal crashed over me. I'm gonna kill them both, Gloria said when I finished. I'm serious. I'll do it. I'll go to jail happily. Despite everything, I laughed. A choked, broken laugh. Don't. They're not worth it. What are you going to do? Divorce him, sue him if I can. And Rachel, my voice broke again. I don't know what to do about Rachel. She's my daughter. But how do I forgive this? You don't, Gloria said firmly. Some things are unforgivable. Your daughter sleeping with your husband is one of them. I stayed at Gloria's house for 3 days. Couldn't bring myself to go home. My lawyer, Patricia Chin, came to see me there. Tell me everything, Patricia said, opening her notepad. I told her the whole story, the affair, Rachel's cruel words, the discovery. Patricia's face grew harder as I talked. I've been a divorce attorney for 30 years, and this is one of the worst betrayals I've heard. Your own daughter. Can I get the house? Is it really just mine? Yes, if it's only in your name and was purchased with your separate funds from before the marriage, it's your separate property. David has no claim to it. What about everything else? California is a community property state. Anything acquired during the marriage is split 50-50. But anything you had before the marriage or inherited stays yours. We'll need to go through your assets carefully. Over the next few weeks, we did exactly that. Documented every asset, every account, every possession. The house was mine, worth about $450,000, completely separate property. My car was mine, bought before the marriage. My retirement account for my teaching career was mine, protected. But we had a joint savings account with about $60,000. That would be split. We had joint credit cards with about $15,000 in debt. That would be split. The furniture was mostly mine, from my first marriage or bought with my money. David would get his car, his personal belongings, his own retirement account, and $30,000 from the savings. He's getting almost nothing, Patricia said with satisfaction. And frankly, after what he did, he deserves nothing. What about Rachel? Can I do anything to her legally? Patricia shook her head. Unfortunately, no. Alienation of affection laws exist in some states, but not California. You can't sue her for stealing your husband, as awful as that is. So she just gets away with it? Legally, yes, but life has a way of evening scores. Give it time. The divorce proceedings were ugly. David hired a lawyer who tried to argue he deserved half the house because he had contributed to maintaining it during our marriage. He mowed the lawn sometimes and fixed the leaky faucet, I told Patricia. That doesn't give him rights to half my house. The judge agreed, ruled that the house was my separate property and David had no claim to it.
David was furious, sent me angry texts about how I was being vindictive and unfair, how we were married for 15 years and he deserved more. I didn't respond. just forwarded the text to Patricia, who used them as evidence of his character. Rachel never tried to contact me at all, not to apologize, not to explain, nothing. She and David moved into a cheap apartment together and started posting couple photos on social media like they were some kind of love story. It made me physically ill to see them. My daughter in the arms of my ex-husband, smiling like she'd won some kind of prize. My friends rallied around me. Gloria, of course, but also other teachers from school, women from my book club, even some of David's relatives who were appalled by what he'd done. You deserve so much better than both of them, Gloria told me at least once a week. One day you'll see this as a blessing, getting rid of two toxic people at once. She's my daughter, Gloria. I gave birth to her, raised her, loved her. How do I just cut her out of my life? The same way she cut you out of hers when she decided your husband was more important than your relationship, Nanny. She showed you who she is. Believe her. The divorce was finalized 8 months after I caught them together. I got the house, my car, my retirement, and half the savings. David got his car, his retirement, and the other half of the savings. Most importantly, I got my freedom. Got to stop being married to a man who had betrayed me in the worst possible way. But the pain didn't stop with the divorce being final. Every day I woke up and remembered that my daughter had stolen my husband, that she had shown no remorse, that she had chosen him over me. I tried therapy, tried to process the double betrayal. The therapist called it compound trauma, the Dr. Martinez explained. You didn't just lose your husband, you lost your daughter too. And the daughter loss is arguably worse because society has no framework for that level of betrayal. Everyone understands divorce, but a daughter stealing your husband? That's unthinkable. How do I move forward? One day at a time, and understand that forgiveness isn't required. Some betrayals are so deep that the relationship cannot be salvaged. And that's okay. Your job is to heal yourself, not to fix what they broke. I threw myself into work, into friendships, into hobbies, tried to build a life that didn't revolve around the pain of what had been done to me. A year after the divorce, I was doing better. Not great, but better. I could go whole hours without thinking about them, could see couples on the street without feeling bitter, could exist without the constant ache of betrayal. Then I saw them at the grocery store, David and Rachel, shopping together, laughing over something in the produce section. Rachel was wearing a diamond ring on her left hand. They were engaged. My stomach turned over. I grabbed my cart and went down a different aisle before they could see me, abandoned half my groceries, and left the store. In my car, I called Gloria. They're engaged, Rachel and David. She's wearing a ring. Of course they are, because they're garbage people who deserve each other. I feel sick. I know, but Nanny, listen to me. This is good news. How is this possibly good news? Because they're going to get married, and marriages built on betrayal and lies never last. Eventually, they'll turn on each other the same way they turned on you. And when that happens, when it all falls apart, you'll be long gone, healed, living your life, and they'll be stuck with the consequences of their choices. I wanted to believe her, wanted to think that karma would catch up with them, but right now, all I can see was my daughter and my ex-husband building a life together, a life that should have been impossible, a life built on my pain. They got married 6 months later. I found out through social media. Saw the wedding photos, Rachel in a white dress, David in a tux, smiling like they hadn't destroyed lives to get to that moment.
I blocked both of them on all platforms after that. Couldn't take seeing their happiness when I was still so broken. 2 years passed, then 3, then 4. I healed slowly, built a life that was mine, traveled, made new friends, even dated a little bit, though nothing serious. I wasn't sure I could trust anyone again. I thought about Rachel sometimes, wondered if she ever felt guilty, if she ever missed me, if she ever regretted choosing David over her own mother. But I never reached out, and she never reached out to me. We were strangers now, connected by DNA, but nothing else. Then, 5 years after I caught them together, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Mom? Rachel's voice. I hadn't heard it in 5 years. Mom, it's me. It's Rachel. My heart started pounding. Why are you calling me? I need to talk to you. Can we meet, please? I have nothing to say to you. Mom, please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. Just one conversation. I'll come to you wherever you want. Just please. There was something in her voice, desperation, pain, the same tone she'd had when she called me crying after her first divorce. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, the coffee shop on Main Street. Thank you, Mom. I'll be there. I hung up and immediately called Gloria. Rachel wants to meet. Absolutely not. Don't do it. I already agreed. Nanny, why? What could she possibly have to say that you need to hear? I don't know, but I need closure. I need to look her in the eye and hear whatever pathetic excuse she's come up with 5 years later. Fine, but I'm coming with you, sitting at a different table. If she tries anything, if she upsets you, I'm intervening. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. Gloria was already there, sitting in a corner with a newspaper, pretending she didn't know me. Rachel arrived exactly at 2 o'clock, and I barely recognized her. She looked terrible, thin, too thin, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. Nothing like the put-together woman who triumphantly announced she was stealing my husband 5 years ago. She saw me and walked over slowly like she was approaching a dangerous animal. Hi, Mom. Rachel? Sit. She sat across from me, hands shaking as she wrapped them around a coffee cup she'd bought. Thank you for meeting me. You have 15 minutes. Talk. She took a shaky breath. David left me 3 months ago for a 28-year-old woman he met at the gym. I felt nothing. No sympathy, no satisfaction, just emptiness. I'm sorry to hear that. I set my voice flat. No, you're not, and you shouldn't be. I deserve this. I know I deserve this. Yes, you do. Mom, I need you to know. I need to say, she started crying, ugly, genuine tears. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what I did to you. It was unforgivable, stealing David, saying those horrible things to you, cutting you out of my life. You were right about everything. What do you want, Rachel? You didn't call me here just to apologize 5 years too late. I wanted you to know that you were right about him, about us. The whole relationship was toxic from the start. He cheated on me constantly with women at work, with women he met online. He told me I was getting old, that I was boring, that I needed to try harder to keep him interested. The exact same things he said about you. So you finally understand what I went through? Yes, and worse, because at least you had the moral high ground. You were the victim.
I'm the villain who got exactly what I deserved. She wiped her eyes. He married me because I was younger than you, more exciting, forbidden. But once the thrill wore off, once we were just a regular married couple, he got bored, started looking for the next younger woman. And he found her, Megan. She's 28. Blonde, perky, everything I'm not anymore at 43. Rachel, why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know that I understand now. I understand what I did to you. I understand the pain I caused, and I'm drowning in guilt. I looked at this broken woman across from me, my daughter, the child I'd raised, the girl I'd loved more than anything, who had betrayed me in the worst possible way. And I felt nothing. The love I'd had for her had died 5 years ago in that bedroom, watching her smile at me from my bed, hearing her tell me to leave my own house. Thank you for the apology, I said quietly, but it doesn't change anything. I know. You chose him over me, your own mother. You showed no remorse, no guilt. You flaunted your relationship on social media like it was something to be proud of. You never once reached out in 5 years. And now that he's left you, now that you're alone, you want me back. That's not love, Rachel. That's convenience. She was sobbing now. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm selfish and terrible, and I don't deserve your forgiveness. No, you don't. Is there anything I can do, anything at all to make this right? I thought about it, thought about what I needed to heal, to move forward, to finally let go of the anger I'd carried for 5 years. Yes, I said finally, there is one thing. Anything. I'll do anything. I need you to leave me alone. Completely. No more calls, no more texts, no more attempts to reconnect. I need you out of my life so I can heal, so I can rebuild without constantly being reminded of what you did. Her face crumpled. Mom, please. You wanted to know what you could do. That's it. Give me the gift of your absence. Let me move on. But you're my mother. And you're the daughter who chose my husband over me, who destroyed our family for a man who didn't even love you, who showed me exactly how little you matter to me. So no, Rachel, I'm not your mother anymore. I'm just the woman who gave birth to you. That's all. I stood up. Goodbye, Rachel. I hope you figure out your life. I hope you find happiness. But I hope you find it far away from me. I walked out of that coffee shop with Gloria following behind me. In my car, I finally broke down. I did it, I told Gloria. I actually did it. You were amazing, strong, clear. You didn't cave. She looked so broken. Good. She should be broken. She earned it. Is it wrong that I feel guilty? No. You're a mother. Mothers feel guilty even when their children don't deserve their guilt. But Nanny, you did the right thing. She doesn't get to destroy you and then come crawling back when life gets hard. Over the next few months, I did feel lighter. Like cutting Rachel completely had released something I'd been holding on to. The hope that someday she'd apologize and we'd reconcile. That hope had been an anchor,
keeping me tied to the pain. Now it was gone, and I was free. 6 months after that coffee shop meeting with Rachel, I ran into David's sister, Linda. We'd always gotten along well during my marriage to David. "Nanny," she hugged me, "how are you?" "I'm good, Linda, really good. How are you?" "Good. Listen, I wanted you to know I'm sorry for what David did, what he and Rachel did. Our whole family was horrified. Thank you. That means a lot. And I wanted you to know that karma definitely came for both of them. I heard David left Rachel. Oh, it's worse than that. The girl he left Rachel for, Megan, she cleaned out his bank account and disappeared, took everything. He's broke now, living with our mother, at 58 years old. Despite myself, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Really? Really? And Rachel? I saw her last month. She's working retail at the mall. Looks terrible, miserable. She asked for you, actually. Asked if you'd seen her, if you were happy. What did you tell her? I told her you're thriving, that you look 10 years younger than when you were married to my idiot brother, that you're traveling and dating and living your best life. Are you making that up to make me feel better? No, Linda laughed. It's true. You do look amazing, and you deserve it, after what they put you through. Thank you, Linda. Can I tell you something else? Of course. David regrets it deeply. He told our mother that marrying Rachel was the worst mistake of his life, that he threw away a good woman for a younger woman who wasn't worth it, that you were the best thing that ever happened to him, and he ruined it. Too little, too late? I know, but I thought you'd want to know that he knows what he lost. I did want to know that. Wanted both of them to understand what they had thrown away, what they destroyed for a relationship that was built on nothing but lust and betrayal. 1 year after that coffee shop meeting with Rachel, I got a message request on Facebook from her. I'd kept her blocked, but she had created a new account to get around it.
Mom, I know you told me to leave you alone, but I need you to know something. I'm pregnant, 8 months. It's David's baby, conceived before he left. I'm going to be a single mother. The baby is due in 4 weeks. I have no one, no family, no support. I'm terrified and alone, and I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm begging you. Please, I need my mother. I stared at that message for a long time. My daughter was pregnant. I was going to have a grandchild. A baby conceived during the affair that destroyed my marriage. I showed the message to Gloria. "Don't you dare," Gloria said immediately. "Don't you dare let her guilt you into this." "She's having a baby, Gloria, my grandchild." "A baby conceived with your ex-husband? Nanny, this is a trap. She's using this baby to manipulate you back into her life. The same life where she betrayed you in the worst possible way." "But the baby is innocent in all this." "The baby is also not your responsibility. Rachel made her choices. She chose David over you. She destroyed your family. Now she gets to deal with the consequences. That includes being a single mother." I didn't respond to Rachel's message. Not that day, or the next day, or the day after that. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. A baby, my grandchild, growing inside my daughter who had betrayed me. 2 weeks later, another message came through. "Mom, I'm in the hospital. The baby came early. Complications. They had to do an emergency C-section. She's okay. I'm okay, but I'm so scared. Please, I know you hate me, but please don't hate her. She's your granddaughter. Her name is Sophie. Sophie. My granddaughter Sophie. I called the hospital, asked about Rachel Sterling's room number. The nurse gave it to me. Are you family? She asked. I'm her mother. Oh, good. She really needs support right now. She's been alone since she came in. No one's visited. No one had visited. Not David. Not friends. No one. I hung up and sat with my decision. Go see her? Meet my granddaughter? Or hold firm to the boundary I'd set a year ago? Dr. Martinez had told me in therapy, boundaries are only effective if you maintain them. If you set a boundary and then cave when the other person applies pressure, you teach them that your boundaries don't matter, that they can manipulate you into breaking them. But this was different. This was a baby, an innocent child who didn't ask to be born into this mess. I drove to the hospital, stood outside Rachel's room for 10 minutes, gathering my courage. Finally, I pushed open the door. Rachel was lying in the hospital bed, pale and exhausted. In her arms was a tiny bundle wrapped in a pink blanket. When she saw me, her face transformed. Relief, gratitude, hope. Mom, she whispered, you came. I came to meet my granddaughter, not for you. Her face fell slightly, but she nodded. Okay, that's fair. Do you want to hold her? I walked closer, looked down at the tiny face peeking out of the blanket. Sophie had dark hair, David's eyes, Rachel's nose. She was beautiful, perfect, innocent. Can I? I asked. Rachel carefully transferred the baby into my arms. Sophie was so small, so fragile. I hadn't held a baby since Rachel was born 43 years ago. Something in my chest cracked. This was my granddaughter, my flesh and blood, part of me. She's beautiful, I said softly. She looks like you, Rachel said, tears in her eyes. Around the eyes, she has your eyes, not David's. I looked closer. She was right. Sophie had my eyes, my mother's eyes, 4 generations of women and one tiny face. Have you contacted David? I asked. I tried. He blocked me. Doesn't want anything to do with the baby. Says he's done raising kids. He's too old for this. He's 58. I know. But that's David. When things get hard, he runs. I should have known that. I did know that. I saw him do it to you. I looked at Rachel. Really looked at her. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hospital gown hanging off her thin frame. Alone in a hospital room with a newborn and no support system. This was karma. This was consequences. This is what she'd earned through her choices. But Sophie hadn't earned this. Sophie deserved better than to be born into isolation and bitterness. What's your plan? I asked. For when you leave the hospital? I have a small apartment, studio. It's all I can afford on my retail salary. I'll figure it out. Do you have supplies? Diapers, clothes, a crib? I have some basics I've been saving up. I'll make it work. Rachel, you just had major surgery. You can't take care of a newborn alone in a studio apartment with no help. What choice do I have, Mom? I don't have anyone else. I stood there holding my granddaughter, wrestling with the biggest decision I'd faced in years. I could walk away, leave Rachel to face the consequences of her choices alone, maintain my boundary, protect my peace. Or I could help. Not for Rachel, but for Sophie. For this innocent child who deserved family, deserved love, deserved better than to be collateral damage in a war between her mother and grandmother. I'm not doing this for you, I said finally. I want that clear. I'm doing this for Sophie. Doing what? You're coming to stay with me for the first few months until you heal, until Sophie is a little older and you can manage on your own. Rachel's eyes widened. Mom, are you serious? I'm serious, but there are conditions. You do exactly what I say. You respect my home and my boundaries. You don't bring drama into my life. And you understand that this doesn't mean we're back to normal. I'm helping you as Sophie's grandmother, not as your mother. That relationship is still broken. I understand. Thank you. God, Mom, thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be hard for both of us. 2 days later, I picked Rachel and Sophie up from the hospital and drove them to my house. The house where I'd caught Rachel with David 5 years ago. The house I'd kicked them both out of. Now, Rachel was back, but everything was different. I'd set up the guest room with the crib I'd bought, baby supplies, everything Sophie would need. Rachel looked around with tears in her eyes. You did all this? For Sophie, not for you. Right, of course. The first few weeks were awkward and tense. Rachel was recovering from surgery and learning to be a mother. I was learning to be a grandmother while maintaining emotional distance from my daughter. We didn't talk about David, didn't talk about the past, only talked about Sophie's feeding schedule, diaper changes, doctor's appointments. It was businesslike, functional, not warm, not loving. But it worked. Sophie was a good baby. She slept decently, ate well, rarely fussed. Taking care of her brought me joy I hadn't felt in years. Gloria was skeptical when I told her what I'd done. Are you sure about this, letting Rachel back into your house? I'm not letting Rachel back in. I'm giving my granddaughter a stable environment for her first few months of life. If you say so, but Nanny, guard your heart. Don't let Rachel manipulate you back into a relationship you ended for good reasons. I won't, I promise. But it was harder than I expected, living with Rachel again, seeing her every day, watching her struggle with motherhood, watching her cry quietly when she thought I wasn't looking. Part of me wanted to comfort her, to be her mother again, to tell her everything would be okay. But I remembered the coffee shop conversation, remembered her saying she only came back because she was alone, that she had no remorse for 5 years until her life fell apart. One evening, about 6 weeks after they'd moved in, Rachel came into the living room where I was reading. Sophie was asleep in her crib. Mom, can we talk? About what? About us. About what happened. About whether there's any way we can ever repair our relationship? I put down my book. Rachel, I told you when you moved in, I'm doing this for Sophie. I know, but we've been living together for 6 weeks, taking care of Sophie together, and it's been nice. Not the same as before, obviously, but nice.
Isn't it? Rachel, you didn't contact me for 5 years. You were perfectly happy without me when you had David, when your life was working out. You only came back when everything fell apart. That's not growth. That's convenience. So you're going to help me raise Sophie but never forgive me? Never be my mother again? I don't know. I said honestly, maybe, maybe not. Right now, I'm focused on being Sophie's grandmother. The rest? I don't know if that can be fixed. How long do I have to pay for what I did? I don't know that either. Maybe forever. Maybe never. Actions have consequences, Rachel. You destroyed our relationship. It's not my job to fix what you broke.
She started crying. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. I'm so, so sorry. I was selfish and cruel, and I hurt you in the worst possible way. I don't know how to make it right." "You can't make it right. It's done. The best you can do is be a good mother to Sophie. Break the cycle of selfishness and betrayal. Give her better than what you gave me." Rachel nodded, wiping her eyes. "I will. I promise I will." She went back to her room. I sat there with my book unopened, thinking about forgiveness, about whether some betrayals were too deep to overcome, about whether I even wanted to try. 3 months after Rachel moved in, she got a better job. Office work with benefits and decent pay. She started saving money, started planning to move out. "I think in a few more months, I'll have enough for a real apartment, 2 bedrooms. Sophie and I can move out and give you your space back." Part of me was relieved. The arrangement had been exhausting. Maintaining boundaries with someone living in my house, keeping emotional distance from my own daughter. But another part of me felt sad. I'd gotten attached to having Sophie around, to the late night feedings, to watching her sleep, to her tiny fingers wrapped around mine. "That's good," I said. "I'm glad you're getting back on your feet. Thank you for this, for everything. I know you did it for Sophie, not me, but still, you saved us when no one else would. You're welcome." "Mom, do you think there's any chance we could have some kind of relationship after I move out? Not like before. I don't expect that, but something? Anything?" I thought about it carefully. "Maybe. Someday. But Rachel, you need to understand something. Trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy. You destroyed 20 years of trust in one afternoon. Rebuilding that, if it's even possible, will take a very long time and a lot of work on your part. I'll do the work, whatever it takes. We'll see." 6 months after moving in, Rachel found a nice 2-bedroom apartment. We moved her and Sophie out together, set up Sophie's nursery, made sure Rachel had everything she needed. "Call me if you need anything. For Sophie." "I will." "Mom, can I hug you?" I hesitated, then nodded. Rachel hugged me tight. I stood stiff in her arms, not quite able to return the embrace. "I love you. I never stopped loving you. Even when I was with David, even when I was awful, I always loved you. Love didn't stop you from betraying me. Love doesn't fix what's broken." "I know, but it's a start, isn't it?" "Maybe. Time will tell." Over the next year, Rachel and I maintained a careful relationship. I came over once a week to see Sophie. We'd have dinner together, talk about Sophie's milestones, keep things surface level. Rachel never pushed for more, never asked me to babysit so she could go out, never tried to use Sophie to manipulate me into a deeper relationship. She seemed to understand that she was on probation, that earning back my trust would be a long, slow process. One evening, when Sophie was about 18 months old, Rachel said something that surprised me. "I'm in therapy. Have been for 6 months." "Oh?" "Yeah. Working on why I did what I did, why I sabotaged our relationship, why I chose David, all of it." "And what has your therapist said?" "That I have a pattern of seeking validation from men. That after my first husband cheated on me, I had this wound, this need to prove I was desirable. That when David showed interest, it wasn't about love. It was about winning, about proving I could take him from you. So you destroyed our relationship to feel better about yourself. Yes, which is sick and awful, and I'm working on it. But I wanted you to know that I'm trying to understand myself so I don't repeat these patterns. So Sophie doesn't grow up with a mother who's broken in the same ways I was. That's good, Rachel. I'm glad you're getting help. My therapist asked if you'd be willing to come to a session, family therapy, to talk through everything in a controlled environment. I thought about it. Maybe. Let me think about it. 2 months later, I went to therapy session with Rachel. It was brutal. We talked about the affair, about her betrayal, about my pain, about whether repair was possible. The therapist, Dr. Roberts, asked me a question I'd been avoiding. Nanny, what would Rachel need to do for you to forgive her? What would make you able to trust her again? I don't know if anything could. That's a valid answer. But I'm asking if you can imagine a scenario where forgiveness is possible. I thought about it for a long time. I think forgiveness might be possible eventually, but forgetting isn't. I'll never forget what she did. Never unhear the things she said to me. Never unsee them together in my bed. Those memories are permanent. That's understandable. Forgiveness doesn't require forgetting. It just means releasing the hold the betrayal has on you. I don't know if I can release it. Do you want to? That was the question, wasn't it? Did I want to forgive Rachel? Did I want to rebuild our relationship? Or was I more comfortable holding on to the anger, the hurt, the wall between us? I think I do, I said finally. Not for her, but for Sophie and for myself. Carrying this anger is exhausting. Rachel was crying quietly in her chair. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for even considering it. Over the next year, Rachel and I maintained a careful relationship. I came over once a week to see Sophie. We'd have dinner together, talk about Sophie's milestones, keep things surface level. Rachel never pushed for more, never asked me to babysit so she could go out, never tried to use Sophie to manipulate me into a deeper relationship. She seemed to understand that she was on probation, that earning back my trust would be a long, slow process. One evening, when Sophie was about 18 months old, Rachel said something that surprised me. I'm in therapy. Have been for 6 months. Oh, yeah. Working on why I did what I did, why I sabotaged our relationship, why I chose David. All of it. And what has your therapist said? That I have a pattern of seeking validation from men. That after my first husband cheated on me, I had this wound, this need to prove I was desirable. That when David showed interest, it wasn't about love. It was about winning, about proving I could take him from you. So you destroyed our relationship to feel better about yourself. Yes, which is sick and awful, and I'm working on it. But I wanted you to know that I'm trying to understand myself so I don't repeat these patterns. So Sophie doesn't grow up with a mother who's broken in the same ways I was. That's good, Rachel. I'm glad you're getting help. My therapist asked if you'd be willing to come to a session, family therapy, to talk through everything in a controlled environment. I thought about it. Maybe. Let me think about it. 2 months later, I went to therapy session with Rachel. It was brutal. We talked about the... It's been a process,
I imagined it has been. What she did, I can't imagine how painful that must have been. I liked that he acknowledged it, didn't try to minimize or excuse it, just acknowledged the reality of the betrayal. Rachel and Christopher dated for a year before getting engaged. She called me before posting it on social media. I wanted you to hear it from me first. Christopher proposed. I said yes. But, Mom, I want you to know I'm not going to have a big wedding. After what happened with David, I don't want to celebrate like that. We're going to do something small, just immediate family, and I'd really like you to be there, if you're comfortable. I'll think about it. I understand if you can't. I know that watching me get married again might be too painful, might remind you of everything that happened. I'll understand either way. I did think about it. Talked to Dr. Martinez about it in therapy. Do you want to go? She asked. Part of me does. Rachel has worked hard to change, to earn back my trust. She's been a good mother to Sophie. She's in therapy. She's with a good man. She's doing everything right. And the other part? The other part remembers standing in my bedroom doorway, watching her with David, hearing her to tell me to leave my own house, watching them post couple photos for years while I was alone and broken. That part wants to say no, wants to maintain distance, wants to protect myself from more pain. Both responses are valid. The question is, which response serves your healing? Which response allows you to move forward? I thought about that question for days. Finally, I called Rachel. I'll come to your wedding. Really? Mom, are you sure? I'm sure. You've done the work, Rachel. You've changed. You've proven yourself. I'm not saying everything is perfect between us, but I'm saying I see your effort, and I want to support you in building a healthy relationship, something different from what you had with David. Rachel was crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. This means everything to me. The wedding was small, just 20 people in Christopher's backyard, simple and sweet. Rachel wore a cream-colored dress. Sophie was the flower girl at 3 years old, adorable in a pink dress. When Rachel walked down the makeshift aisle on Christopher's father's arm, she looked at me and mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. During the ceremony, I thought about everything that had brought us to this moment: the betrayal, the pain, the years of separation, the slow, difficult process of rebuilding. Was I completely healed? No. Did I fully trust Rachel? Not yet. Maybe never completely. But was I willing to try, to give her another chance, to be part of her life and Sophie's life? Yes, because holding on to anger forever wasn't healing. It was just another form of pain. At the reception, Rachel gave a toast. I want to thank everyone for being here today, especially my mother. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. Mom, I know I don't deserve your presence here today. I know what I did was unforgivable, but you gave me grace anyway. You helped me when I had no one. You've slowly let me back into your life despite every reason not to. You've shown me what real love looks like. Not the twisted, selfish thing I mistook for love with David, but actual,
Genuine, unconditional love, the kind that holds people accountable, but also offers second chances. Thank you for everything. I love you. The room was silent. No one knew the full story except Gloria, who I'd brought as my date, but everyone could feel the weight of Rachel's words. I stood up, walked over to Rachel, and hugged her. A real hug, the first real hug we'd had in 7 years. I love you too, I whispered. We're going to be okay. Are we? Yes. Eventually, we're going to be okay. That was 3 years ago. Today, Rachel and Christopher have been married for 3 years. They have a good marriage, healthy, built on honesty and communication, nothing like Rachel had with David. Sophie is 6 years old now, smart, funny, kind. She calls me Grandma and comes to stay with me every other weekend. She's the light of my life. Rachel and I have rebuilt our relationship into something new. We're not as close as we were before the betrayal. That level of trust is gone. But we're close enough. We have dinner together once a week. She calls me when she needs advice. I call her when I miss Sophie. We don't talk about David much. Last I heard, he was still living with his mother, broke and alone. His young girlfriend had taken all his money and disappeared. Karma had come for him completely. Rachel ran into him once at a grocery store, told me about it later. He looked terrible, Mom, old and tired and sad. He tried to talk to me, asked about Sophie. I told him she was fine and walked away. How did that feel? Good, like closing a chapter. He was my biggest mistake, my worst choice. And I'm so grateful I got away from him before he destroyed me completely. He almost did destroy you. I know, but you saved me, even though I didn't deserve it. You're my daughter. Despite everything, you're still my daughter. I'm 71 years old now. I lost 7 years of my relationship with Rachel because of her betrayal. 7 years of pain and separation and broken trust. But we survived it. Not perfectly, not without scars, but we survived it. Would I recommend forgiveness to other mothers whose daughters betrayed them? I don't know. Every situation is different. Some betrayals are too deep. Some relationships can't be salvaged. But I will say this. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you, about releasing the hold the betrayal has on your life, about choosing peace over anger. I forgave Rachel, not immediately, not easily, but eventually. And my life is better for it. I have my daughter back. Not the same daughter, a different one, more honest, more humble, more aware of her capacity to hurt people. I have my granddaughter, who never has to know the full details of how she came to be. And I have peace. Finally, after 7 years of carrying anger and pain, I have peace. The coffee shop conversation was the turning point. When I told Rachel I needed her to leave me alone, that gave me the space to heal, to process, to decide on my own terms whether forgiveness was possible. And when Rachel came back into my life through Sophie's birth, she came back changed. She came back humble. She came back willing to do whatever work was necessary to rebuild trust. That's the difference. The first time she came back after David left, she was desperate and alone. The second time, with Sophie, she was genuinely remorseful and committed to change. People can change. Not always, not easily, but sometimes with enough work and enough time and enough genuine remorse, people can change. Rachel changed, and because she put in the work, because she never stopped trying to earn back my trust, I was able to forgive her. Do I wish the betrayal had never happened? Of course. Do I wish I could go back